The Blue Jackets' goal-scoring prowess continues as they put up 6 goals again for the 4th time in 8 games this season. But what else happened in last night's game? Well, we're going to talk about that on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jeff Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I just want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Big win for the Blue Jackets. Edmonton coming into town is never easy. It's always interesting, though, and this sure was an interesting game. And there's a lot I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, in fact, about tonight's game. The good news is there is much more of the first one than there is of the last two. So let's get into it, because what I want to talk about is, in brief, the goal scoring. Because again, this team just continues to put up goals, and I don't know how they keep doing it, but they are, again, just absolutely flying up the rankings. They now are on an average of 4.13 goals per game, so they're scoring over 4 goals a game on average, and they're allowing only 3.13 goals per game as well. So they're basically winning every game 4-3, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know where this offense has come from. Like, it's this team. I've said it so many times. Like, this team looks night and day to last season, and we've seen like stumbles, we've seen issues crop up. Like the game against the Preds was not good. It was not fun to watch. It was messy. Again, it feels like every time something happens, they bounce back. They had a really poor game against the Wild. They bounced back with that big win over Toronto, which I believe was a 6-2 win, I want to say. Not a great game against the Preds. They bounced back, 6-1 win against the Oilers. Admittedly, Oilers have been struggling to start the season off here, but that's still a very dangerous team, even without Connor McDavid, who left after the first shift. Looks like he was tripped up by the boards, and his left skate went into it. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. He didn't finish the game. He has, I believe, returned to, or is returning to Edmonton to get further testing as the team goes on to Nashville. But, even without McDavid, this is still a dangerous team. Are they having a bit of a downward swing? Are they in a bit of, a slump for their offense? Sure, but that's still a team that, you can't take lightly. And we've seen it before. We've seen the Blue Jackets take teams lightly. One of the biggest criticisms I've had of the team over the past kind of handful of seasons has been they play to the level of their opponent. And so what that means is if the opponent isn't playing great, then typically the Blue Jackets aren't either. If the other team is playing well, then sometimes the Blue Jackets kind of rise up and meet that. And so it was really important that the Blue Jackets didn't sink to the level that the Oilers were playing at. I think the Oilers played fine. I don't think they were as dangerous as they normally are. I'm just pulling up the numbers of the Oilers, pre this game, but of note, the Blue Jackets managed to keep Leon Draisaitl off the board the entire game. The Oilers scored 1 goal. Mattias Ekholm scored it on the power play. Darnell Nurse and Corey Perry got the assists. So, those are the only players that got on the board. They managed to keep Evan Bouchard off the board. They kept Jeff Skinner off the board. They kept Ryan Nugent-Hopkins off the board, Victor Arvidsson off the board. All these players. Zach Hyman, who is really struggling to start the season. He's got 1 assist in 10 games so far. He'll bounce back. I'm real glad he didn't bounce back against the Blue Jackets, though. And again, losing McDavid sucks. There's no way around that. That is kind of what the team is built around. They're built around Connor McDavid. And so when he goes down, someone has to step up and kind of fill in that missing offense. Usually who that is Draisaitl, but the Blue Jackets managed to keep him keep him pretty shut down. He still was kind of up to his usual tricks. I'm just pulling up his numbers here. Leon Draisaitl was on the ice for 16 shot attempts for and 10 against. So they didn't like completely shut him down, but what they did do is shut down anything of high danger. So he only had an expected goals for of 0.62. One of the higher ones on the team, admittedly, but he wasn't out here like creating a ton of offense and just getting stoned by the goaltending. Like the Blue Jackets managed to do a pretty decent job of shutting him down. The shot attempts that he was on the ice for were mostly low danger. He had a couple of Leon Draisaitl like looks, but the Blue Jackets managed to keep him to the perimeter for the most part. There was a one-timer. There was another one that went off the post. Elvis played great. I want to talk about Elvis in a minute here. I got distracted from what I actually wanted to talk about, which was that the offense is shining through. And this was such a fun game for that, because I feel like a lot of the higher scoring games we've seen from the Blue Jackets this season has been like 6-4, 6-4. The Leafs game was, I think it was 6-2, but I might be wrong about that. So that was another like really good example of a good game for the Blue Jackets in terms of both the offense showed up and the goaltending showed up. So yeah, they lost 3-2. They won 6-4. They lost 4-3. They won 6-4. Lost 3-1. Won 6-2. Lost 4-3 in overtime, and then they won 6-1. So like, this was the best goaltending performance, I thought, of the season, which is, again, great. We'll talk about that in a second. But the offense showed up, the defense showed up, and like, this might have been one of the best games of the season. This might have been better than any game they played for all of last season. Like, I'm trying to think of a game that they were this offensively potent in, and also the goaltending was good, and also the defense was, doing its job as well. I think that they let Edmonton have a little bit too much time and space, and at all strengths, they did get out attempted 64-48. Edmonton got a fair amount of penalties. If you take that as 5-on-5, the Blue Jackets were only outchanced 43-40. So like, basically even, the Oilers got not a lot of power play. Oh, okay. I guess they did get a lot of power plays. I'm just looking up here. There are 7 instances of power play that they had. I'm just pulling up here to see 6 distinct power plays. So some of it was 4-on-4, some of it was 5-on-3. But so they created a lot of offense on that power play, and then at even strength, it was a little bit more balanced, But I thought the Blue Jackets did a really great job of weathering the extra man storm. The Oilers did score 1 power play goal, again, right at the very end, with 27 seconds to go, which honestly, kind of rude. I feel like you could just accept your loss at that point, but whatever. It is what it is. But the Blue Jackets scored on the power play as well, took advantage of that weak Oilers penalty kill, scored 2:18 into the game with that power play goal. Sean Monahan has his first of 2 goals that he had this game. He's up to 5 on the season now, which is leading the team in scoring, in goals specifically. The lines kind of went back to what they were, by which I mean the top line was reconnected. So Chidakov, Monahan, and Marchenko were back together. I think that was the right move. And I think putting Cole Sillinger on that line with Adam Fantilli was, again, a really, really solid move for this team. And that was the best line as well, in terms of like possession, in terms of creating offense, in terms of not allowing offense. That future Fantilli Sillinger line was great. I liked having Chinakhov there, but I think having him back on that top line is great. I think Sillinger, Fantilli, and Puccia work well together. I'm really interested to see what happens in terms of who goes where when Voronkov comes back. But as of right now, as a top 6, I really like this, and really, really great to see Mikhail Puccia get his first NHL goal as well, which I would like to say, if you're an everyday, you tuned in yesterday, I did predict that. You are correct. It was worth it. He almost scored against Nashville. He almost scored earlier in this game. I thought that he had scored. I thought he tipped Cole Sillinger's shot. I guess not. Which, by the way, they took the assist off of Adam Fantilli for that, and I believe Zach Werenski was originally given an assist for that goal as well, and they took both of those assists away, which I think is mean. But great to see Sillinger get a goal. Great to see Pucher get a goal, and great to see Fantilli get a goal as well. So a goal for everyone on that line. Mathieu Olivier gets a goal as well. He's now up to 4 goals on the season. His career high is 5. So that's, again, extremely funny. He's currently on pace for like a 35-goal season, which, again, is going to... His shooting percentage is going to regress. He's not going to get as many goals. Like, he's not going to hit 35 goals, but, like, there's a very real world where he hits, like, 10 or 15 goals this season if he keeps playing the way that he is. And part of it is that he's, like, playing above his level. He's playing on the third line at the minute, which is, you know, getting more ice time, and he's playing a more offensive style, which is great. I love this. I love to see it from Olivier. Because we've seen kind of flashes of it before, but I really love to see him as a less of a grinding player, more of an offensive player, less of a player that like, I know everyone loves when he fights people. I know everyone loves when he throws down, but like, if he could do this instead, like, I would take this any day of the week over another fight, you know? So again, really great to see him get rewarded. I feel like he's been working really hard to start this season. Is it because he's playing above his level? Probably, but I'm gonna enjoy it while it happens. You know, I assume what'll happen is Voronkov will come back and Olivier will probably slide back down to that 4th line. But as of right now, I really am enjoying the Aston Reese Danforth Olivier line very much. That is a lot of fun to me. Just, they work hard, they have fun, they don't get caved in their own zone, which that happens a lot with the 4th line last season. That Robinson, Corrali, Olivier line typically did get caved in their own zone. This new line of Danforth, Aston Reese, and Olivier is doing the right thing, and you love to see it. Again, love to see Sean Monahan get rewarded as well. Again, 5 goals on the season, and I was actually talking to my wife about this, you know, about how great it is that he has come in and has really, like, A, embodied what it is to be a Blue Jacket. B, it seems like he's bonded really well with the team. C, he's managing to stay healthy so far, knock on wood. And it would have been really easy for him to come in and, like, not manage to gel with anyone and, like, not resent the fact that he doesn't get to play with Johnny Gaudreau anymore, because, like, we all know that's why he signed here, is he signed here to play with Johnny Gaudreau. He doesn't get to do that. It sucks. Like, it's brutal. But he's really making the best of a bad situation here. I think he's having fun. Again, having a healthy Monahan, he looks like he did last season, where he was, again, fully healthy for Montreal and Winnipeg as well. And I'm just enjoying it while it lasts. You know, do I think, again, this kind of scoring pace will keep up for him? No, but the team is not going to be able to score 6 goals every other game for the entire season. It would be amazing if they did. I think it would be truly so funny. But as of right now, I'm just enjoying the offense, and I'm enjoying what's happening, because the team is now officially above 500 for the first time in... I mean, they were above 500 before this game with that overtime loss to Nashville, but, like, I don't remember the last time this team was, like, fully, genuinely at 500, like, at all last season. You know, this season they've mostly been hovering at 500, but last season I don't think they ever hit 500. And so that's really fun. I hope that it keeps up. I don't know that I could sustain the kind of the emotional up and down of winning a game, losing a game, winning a game, losing a game. So, like, I would love for them to string a couple of wins together here. I don't know what their next game is off the top of my head. I should know this, and I do not. But it is... They're playing the Islanders on Wednesday. So, again, perfect opportunity to pick up back-to-back wins there, which, again, they did, I think, twice, maybe 3 times all of last season. So, all good things. I'm going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, I want to talk about the goaltending specifically, because I thought Elvis was excellent, but we've seen this before. So I want to talk about that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I want to tell you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 on get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. And it's not just the NFL. They've got the NHL, they've got the NBA, they've got MLB, they've got college sports, they've got any kind of sport that you can imagine. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And also us, the Locked On Podcast Network. We've also got to tell you about Game Time. I love to go to last-minute Sharks games. I talk about this all the time. I'm in California at the minute, and we're going to go to a Sharks game tomorrow. We talked about it tonight. We were like, we don't have anything on tomorrow. Let's see what the prices are like. Went to Game Time. Prices were great. So I think we are including fees. We're going to 2 tickets to a Sharks game for about $55, which is great. Less than that, I think. I think it's $52 all in. So Game Time just has better prices, better options, better UI features on the app than basically any other ticketing service. And you can get panoramic view from your seat before you buy. You are going to get 110% of the difference in credit if you find tickets in your section and row for less somewhere else. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. I want to talk about goaltending. We've talked about the offense and how great that's been. And I've talked a lot kind of as the season has gone on about, well, the offense keeps showing up, but the goaltending doesn't necessarily, or the goaltending shows up and the offense doesn't show up. Like, I think, for example, Tarasov was excellent in the 3-1 loss to the Wild last week. He was great. And the team just didn't show up offensively. And when the team does show up offensively, I feel like the goaltending struggles. Again, I'm talking in a lot of these cases about like the 2 6-4 wins that they had earlier on in the season, where like they still got the win, but it was a case of, I think, Tarasov allowing 4 goals on 25 shots or 4 goals on 21 shots or something like that, of if the offense hadn't showed up, the team would have been in real trouble, But this was a game where the offense showed up and the goaltending showed up as well. This is Elvis's 3rd start of the season. He had in his first start an .885, which was the loss to Minnesota in the home opener, in the regular season opener. He then played in the game against Florida, which was the home opener, and had an .818. He had allowed 4 goals on 22 shots. And then tonight as of recording this, he has a .969 save percentage, allows 1 goal in 32 shots, and was this close to a shutout. The Oilers score on the power play with, I think, 27 seconds left. Like, just a really annoying way to lose your shutout. But is this a sign of good things to come? Are we starting to see the Elvis that we saw in his rookie season? And it's too early to say from one game, but I wanted to talk a little bit about his post-game interview, which I feel like a lot of the fan criticisms, shall we say, of Elvis, outside of like his play, is I see a lot of people being like, he's not a team player. He only cares about himself. Like, he's egotistical. He never takes the blame for any losses. He always blames the people in front of him. But then if he wins, then it's, if he plays well, then it's all him. If he plays badly, then it's the fault of someone if the player's in front of him. And like, I don't necessarily disagree that he has seemed to do that a lot. But a couple of things I wanted to point out is he was asked about the shutout in the post-game interview, and he was like, I don't even care. I was just happy to get the win. It's good to get a taste for winning. We've got good motivation. Like, we've got some momentum. And he just, like, he seemed like he was in a good space, and like winning, like, you get in a good space with winning, But something else I wanted to touch on was Dean Everson in the postgame was asked about Elvis Moslikins, and he said, Elvis has been a leader on our team so far. He's led by example. He's led in practice. He's led with his work ethic. The other night, he's not playing. He's the first one high-fiving guys and praising guys. He's been fantastic. That is the kind of praise for Elvis that I don't think I saw at all last season, and I don't know whether that's, I think that Elvis and Vincent probably did not get on. I think Elvis and Kekalainen had some tension between them. You know, there was the drama last season of them basically relegating Elvis to the third string goalie. He didn't play a game he didn't play or even back up for 2-3 weeks. He asked for a trade. He rescinded his trade request. He asked for it again over the summer. But right now it feels like his spirits are up. His spirits are good. He feels like he's in a good place. Again, I'm still not going to sit here and be like, this is a good thing. This is, the start of something great for Elvis. I want to see sustained good play. But with him taking some time out for a couple of weeks, I think, again, I think the home opener affected him deeply. It's the second home opener in 4 years where he's had to honor a fallen teammate or a teammate that's passed away. I hate calling them fallen as if they have just kind of tripped over or something. I think it affected him deeply. He talked about how the cannon gave him real problems after Kivlenix died because it sounded like fireworks to him, and I think probably Gaudreau's dying brought a lot of that back, especially, heavily emotional home opener. There was a lot going on. He took a couple weeks off. Tarasov kind of took the reins over that, which is kind of my point here is it would have been really easy for them to be like, we're going to go with the hot hand. We're going to go with Tarasov. I don't think Tarasov was great against Nashville, but he put in 2 really good performances before that against Minnesota and against Toronto. They said, no, we're going to go back to Elvis. We're going to see what he's got. And I think the door is still wide open for whoever is going to, have the most games at the end of the season. He's not fully taken that starting role back, because I don't think you can do that after one game. I think we probably see Tarasov against the Islanders on Wednesday, but there's a back-to-back coming up. I imagine we'll see Elvis and Tarasov this weekend. They play Winnipeg and Washington, so plenty of ice time for both goalies, but this does feel like a really good confidence builder for Elvis. It was a strong game, but it wasn't a game where I feel like last season I saw a lot of games where it was, well, he was great, but it was because he allowed 4 goals on 50-something shots, because the Blue Jackets were just bleeding shots against. This was, yes, Edmonton outworked them a little bit, but it wasn't egregiously so. The final shot count was I think 33 to 32 to 25 was the final shot count in favor of the Oilers. So fairly balanced, fairly even. It wasn't like the goalie got shelled. It wasn't like he played well in spite of the defense in front of him. I think it was a good team win of everyone showed up. They managed to keep things to the outside for the most part. The Blue Jackets actually had more high danger shot attempts than the Oilers. So I think, that definitely helps. But it feels promising. I do still think that probably Tarasov starts against the Islanders, but then beyond that, it really depends on whoever I think has. It depends on how well Tarasov plays on Wednesday against the Islanders as to who's going to start against the Jets. I think that they play the Jets on Friday at home, and then they go to Washington. So I think you want the stronger goalie in net against the Jets. They've had a really great start to the season. They finally lost their first game last night to Toronto. So they are now only a mere 8-1 on the season. Basically nothing, but that's still a team that you can't take lightly. They've got an excellent goaltender. Their scoring is getting it done. You want your best roster in that game. And we'll talk about that game kind of further down the line. I'm not going to do a full game preview for a game that's happening on Friday on, Tuesday morning. But depending on how well Tarasov plays, I think is going to dictate who gets to play in that game against Winnipeg, and then whoever else will play in Washington. So I think it's going to be an interesting interesting week or so of who plays where. I still think Tarasov starts against the Islanders, but if you have to choose between 2 goalies that are playing well, oh no, what a terrible problem to have. how are we ever going to cope with this? I would much rather have to choose between two goalies that are playing well than what was happening for a lot of last season, which is where I was like, well, which goalie is playing the least bad? You know, still a lot of work to do for both of them, but Elvis's season save percentage has crept into the 900. He's got a 900 exactly. So this performance has undone a lot of the kind of the rough games that he had against Minnesota and Florida earlier this season. So I'm giving Elvis, 2 thumbs up. I think a well-deserved first star of the night for him. And we'll see what Wednesday brings, which is we'll do a preview of for Wednesday's game on Wednesday, and or on Wednesday morning. We'll preview Wednesday night's game, etc., etc. But that's kind of all I've got in terms of game stuff. I want to take one more quick break before we finish up, and then I want to talk a little bit about the broadcast, because I really enjoyed the broadcast tonight, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I thought it was shockingly good, which maybe it shouldn't shock me considering John Davidson has been a broadcaster for many years, but I just want to talk a little bit about it because I thought it was fun. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to tell you about Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, let me tell you. It is the best place to get real money sports action. They've got over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. All you've got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Do you think, for example, that Connor McDavid is going to get more than half a goal next week? Do you think Austin Matthews is going to get more than 1.5 goals? You can cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win that $50 bonus. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just put $5 on literally whatever you want, and you're going to get $50 to do even more lineup predictions. It's that easy. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, that is code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So I just wanted to very briefly talk about the extremely fun broadcast tonight, because I wasn't expecting it even a little bit. I thought it was really funny, actually, and I described it as so if you missed the TV broadcast, Steve Mears was doing play-by-play, which he's been doing an excellent job. By the way, I've really been enjoying listening to Steve's play-by-play. His usual partner, Jody Shelley, was doing the national gig. He was doing the Amazon Prime Canada broadcast, which I guess is a thing now. So he was unavailable to do the FanDuel Sports Network CBJ Hometown broadcast. So they brought in John Davidson, the guy that runs the whole thing, alternate governor of the Blue Jackets. And it's very much like, imagine going into work and finding out that your coworker is like helping out in a different department that day, but it's okay. The CEO is here to help you that day. Truly very funny. I don't know why they didn't bring Jean-Luc Grandpierre in. He usually does the color commentary and does a really good job of it, but I really, really enjoyed John Davidson's commentary. I thought it was funny. I thought it was insightful. There was some like conversation there that you don't usually get with like color commentary necessarily, because obviously he has such a different relationship with this guy than like the media, the interview guys. Like, I think Jody Shelley is great at what he does. I really do. And I think he's a really great interviewer specifically. I think he does a really good work at coaxing answers out of people that don't necessarily want to be interviewed. I'm looking at you, Ken Johnson. But I thought that having a guy who doesn't do the everyday hanging out, talking to the players, checking in, interviewing them, but instead having someone who knows all the players because he runs the whole team, but has a different relationship with them. And so, he talked a lot about, he talked about his relationship with Elvis and how, he went to dinner with Elvis, like very early on in his career and basically told him, you've got to calm down because otherwise you'll burn yourself out. And there was an extremely funny bit where the Blue Jackets couldn't enter the zone during the 4-minute power play when Adam Fantilli got sticked. And John Davidson was just kind of like ragging on the guys. And I thought it was really fun. And so this is me kind of not having anything like hard hitting to say about any of this, but I do think if they lose Jody Shelley to any more national broadcasts, which I think they're going to start to lose more and more of Jody Shelley as he starts to become a national guy. Bring John Davidson in again. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was so much fun. And that's my official opinion on what the broadcast was like tonight. I thought it was great. Again, everyone did. I think I tweeted these exact words, but I was like, everyone did just great, including the broadcasting team tonight. So 10 out of 10 to FanDuel Sports Network, 10 out of 10 to the Blue Jackets, and I'm excited to see what happens on Wednesday. And that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. Is we'll do a preview for Wednesday's game against the Islanders. Maybe we'll bring Gil Martin in, host of Locked on Island, just to have a quick chat about how their team is doing, because it feels like they're not doing so great right now. And thanks for listening to this episode, for making us your first listen of the day every single day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and find us there. I'm on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTEI. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets. Again, I think I've said that already, but it's fine. We're going to press on. Email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening. Like I said, tomorrow we'll preview the game against the Islanders on Wednesday. And until then, make sure you stay locked on.